Oh, this company is based in Uruguay. Pretty unique. Why would a stock price, 8 billion market cap is too high? I mean, stock price doesn't have any correlation. I'm not going to look at ATAI. One of my former executives helped start the company, and it's could be a good short. Anthony G, yeah, I like Adma a lot. All right, so here's another one where like the ADR is a little, looks maybe like it could be different, so I don't know. Do these guys have an ADR, or is this, it has to be an ADR, right? Uruguay equals scam, what does that mean? The country is a scam, it doesn't exist, it shouldn't be on the map? Yeah, KD, the problem is that you have to do a clinical trial. Without a clinical trial, claims basically mean nothing. You still have to do a clinical trial with a control group. And every time that's happened, there's been failures. All right, I wanna see if there's like ADR ratio or some other thing with this company, because it's a little confusing. It's funny, Gil, like, it's like the one company with this business model that's actually executing. So it makes you raise your eyebrow, like how is Hims doing it? Because, I mean, the numbers are what they are. But it does make you wonder, like, nobody else has made this work. Okay, so here's the Class A, Class B issue as well. Okay, they had a short seller. We've been the subject of negative publicity by a short seller. Uh-oh. Oh, Muddy Waters, uh-oh. Our research tells us this company's likely a fraud. Muddy Waters is short Dlocal. Dlocal is a fast-growing payments company based in Uruguay, spun out of a high-risk processing business, stellar growth and profitability, but no pictures of its CEO wearing black turtlenecks. But we think it's a fraud, disclosure, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I did notice that their accounts payable were enormous. I mean, this is from 2 years ago. I'm assuming since then the company's not completely disappeared. Let's see. Oh, looks like it's not gone great since they put out their report. So pretty good run down by Muddy Waters there, 40 to 8. Okay, so I think these guys, okay, the stock was 21 when they wrote their report, so it wasn't that good of a trade. $1 billion of insider selling, God bless them. General Atlantic. Yeah, my guess is their auditor isn't so great. The CFO worked at PwC Argentina. I'll have to dig into this one and see if Muddy Waters really found something or not. Casual billion. Making short sellers should be, making short selling illegal is a good idea. Yeah, we're all Adma baggies right now. I need a baggy song. Baggy, getting. Something like raggy. Okay, DLO, very interesting. Possible short, possible fraud, possible long, who knows? Probably not long, but just because a company is in South America doesn't make them a scam. Okay, let me look at this one, ESPR, Esperion. So this is a company that tried to make like a new cholesterol drug. And let's see how they're doing. So here's Esperion. What is the price of this dog? 206. Yeah, so they put $1.5 billion into this company. That's worth $460 million. Oops. Doesn't mean anything in terms of what it's worth today, what it could be worth, but it is a sign that maybe management isn't the best. You want an ASPCA approved dog track, stop. Okay, so they are selling a little bit more product, that's good. It may not be cooked. Esperion. Meta's a fantastic company. Amazing margins, near monopoly-like position in social media. Great management team. It's a $1 trillion company. They've done amazing. Now, it's a little expensive at this price, but I mean, it's one of the greatest companies of all time. Oh wow, look at these cost of goods. They sued their partner. Yikes. This drug's also going to go generic at some point. All small molecules do. No small molecule has escaped the fate of the generics. So there's 3 certainties: death, taxes, and small molecules going generic. If I had financials, I could look at a private company. Otherwise, it's kind of hard without valuation and stuff like that. So what, they owe their royalty company like $500 million? Okay, I'm just gonna look at product sales. Oh, interesting. That's interesting soda. RR, I have a conference call at noon, but I can definitely pause the one I'm looking at for you and take a look. So SSE is, this is a foreign. I like how they call these trading statement. It's not earnings, it's our trading statement. It's such an old way to do it. It's like the old Dutch Indian trading company or whatever. They just call London the city. So they call it the city. I remember the Dutch Indian Trading Company. 1685, the first corporation of all time. East Indian Trading Company. Governor. Alright, so this is weird. Let me start with the annual report. 10 billion pounds of debt. Okay. It's interesting. They're labeling themselves as a clean energy company. I feel like the Scooby-Doo when he pulls the mask off. It's complicated because this is an energy company, so I can be myself at work without worrying about how I will be accepted by colleagues, 89%. Leadership group, 26% men. Way to go, guys. Proportion of ethnic minorities represented, 2.5%. What does this say? Water abstracted? How do you abstract water? Is that like a London term for like using water? No, okay, finally, 50 pages in, we talking business. I mean, it is literally a climate change company. Looks like $1 billion, 1.1 billion almost. What is their stock price? It is 1902 pence. That's usually means that it's actually 19.02 pounds. So typically you divide by 100 in these London stocks, yeah. There it is, 20 billion market cap, and they said net debt is going to be 20 billion, so very levered up. What do they call leverage in Europe? They may just call it leverage, but there's a couple of other terms for it internationally. Gearing is what they call it. Okay, these are operating profit per unit. It's a lot. When in Rome, I guess. Let's see. So SS is SSEN. Sustainable. So SSEN, transmission. There's SSEN, distribution. And this is electricity. So in America, we call these utilities. Now we have SSE renewables. SSE thermal, gas storage, and this is thermal. Is this thermal total? I don't think so. This is thermal. Okay, now that we have business energy, our airtricity, sounds pretty cool actually. Together, that's enterprise? No. Energy customer solutions. Okay. And then they have energy markets, enterprise, Neos Networks. Very complicated company. But annualized, oh no, this is the entire year. Okay. So 2 billion pounds of profit, and that looked fairly consistent versus last year. I'd like to read all of this at some point. Okay, net debt, they said it's going to be 10 billion, or did they say it's going to be 20? They said 10. So 15 times for a no grower sounds about right. Now, their earnings are impacted by these finance costs. So theoretically, so like arguably, it's 2,500. which is 12 times earnings for no growth. There could be growth, I just don't know. I mean, if there's any growth in this business, it's a good long. But I'm talking about net growth, so like earnings have to grow. And that's a tall task for very regulated businesses. Well, it's hard to know what's rubbish and what isn't. It's pure rubbish. Some of this stuff is obviously rubbish. How do they start with operating profit? It's like quite an income statement. Is it because it's a utility? It's like a bizarre. I also want to look at free cash flow. I think like confusion in financial statements is, okay, here's revenue. Like sometimes very, very good opportunity because most people don't want to sit there and grind through like some weird financial statement. Something that doesn't fit perfectly. So they're like, oh yeah, I'll skip this one. But in reality, that's the kind of thing you want to look at, the thing that everyone else is skipping. That's why I love international stocks. International stocks are great for that reason. Okay, this is why they don't report revenue. Their gross margin is negative, but they probably hedge energy costs and whatnot. Okay, so this is before exceptional items, so we should get rid of the exceptional items. That's a lot more fair. So probably best to determine if this company is like just generating more energy or not, but typically it's so regulated that you never grow as an energy company. It's very, very difficult. As a utility. And if you're making too much money, the state cramps down on you, and I think in England they would be very, very blimey, you made that much money. Parliament's gonna pass a new tax. Yeah, I'd be cautious about this one until I can learn more. At first blush, I don't really understand it. I don't think it's long. Windfall tax, Jesus Christ. I don't know much about utilities. I have a friend that runs like a utilities hedge fund. That's very, very good. It doesn't seem that attractive to me. Like what's the impetus to be long? I mean, they're trying to dress up with this idea of clean, but for climate change or whatever, but they're not really, I'm not sure they benefit that much for that, or they'll get paid that much for that. It remains to be seen. Yeah, good for capital preservation, not necessarily great for growth. It certainly pays a dividend. It's like a boring, sleepy stock, but you know, it's always possible that they actually kind of find a way to be more dynamic and exciting. I just don't see that right off the bat, and I didn't have too much time, so I only had 20 minutes there, but I could spend a few more hours on it later. Yeah, so Cadence is a cool company. I know it a little bit, but I can get to know it a little better now. I hope Adam's not going to 14. I know 𝗣𝗢𝗓's going to 0. Oh, the 𝗣𝗢𝗓 stream is going to be insane. Watch me either lose a lot of money or make a lot of money. And I'm probably going to be sleeping when it comes out. Oh my God. I probably shouldn't stream that. You know, finding a company that's really going to like sustainably grow and do really well is hard. A lot of that's about management. Value investing fails when it comes to management. You have to really scrutinize management. CHEGG, I don't know their management. It's a good long, but we don't know anything about their management. And obviously, the market thinks that their business is coming to an end. So Cadence Design makes like some pretty complicated software. It's not stuff for like you or me. It's for people at like Apple and Samsung to design chips with. That's a little bit more debt than cash. Weren't they trying to buy Ansys, or is that the other company? Okay. Revenue flat, so no acquisition impact there. If you enter the Discord, there's a bunch of pretty girls in there. Do not talk to them without my permission. It's just how it is. It's how it always be. I don't know, some people can find a way to be super productive from home, and they're actually less productive in the office. It's like people are bothering them, asking them questions, trying to socialize. Why would you use Windows? Well, Microsoft Excel is the main tool I use for for this stream. So I use Windows for that. Sometimes when I program, I use this guy. This is got a Mac OS. Sometimes I SSH into remote Ubuntu shells. Sometimes I use WSL2 for Windows emulator of Ubuntu. I'm so happy some of you guys became really successful. There's a bunch of people from our stream who made a fortune. I'm so happy for you. You were always really interested in participating in this stuff. And so I didn't help you get a private equity job. You got the private equity job. I'm just a bystander. That's what I tell all these guys. There's one guy who started a company, used to watch our streams, 15 billion, maybe more, 20 billion market cap now. Can you imagine? Started a $20 billion company. If I said the name, you would know it. And he even kicked in a little money into DL Software. So for me, I'm just as happy for him, who's now a billionaire, as I am for Harris or somebody who's just got their first job in finance. That's great. And even if I can help somebody get through the day with a joke or answer a question, I'm very happy. You know, it's and what goes around comes around. You know, I really do believe that. I mean, Kramer was very nice to me when he didn't have to be. So was Jeff and Matt and the guys I worked for, as well as my next job with Ed and my next job with Steve. You know, these guys were really good people. And it's, for some people, it's hard to be a good person, which is sad. But, you know, it takes a real class act to be kind and patient and understand that young people make mistakes and they do stupid things. But, you know, without young people, we don't have anything. So, you know, these guys have a little more energy than me these days. So every time I improve my process by even 5%, that means I can look at one more stock from 20 to 21 every day. That 21st stock might be the big winner. A lot of people, every rookie I meet in investing, they say the same thing. Oh, I love stock X, stock Y. Maybe it's Cassava today, maybe it's some other stock tomorrow. GameStop, AMC. When the whole GameStop, AMC thing came around, people were saying, Shkreli, you're out of prison. Great. What do you think about AMC? And I'd say, okay, let me look at it. I'd say, why do you like this thing? What's the story? And they tell me the story, and I said, let me ask you something. Forget about AMC for a second. How much of your money do you have in AMC? And they'd say something like, oh, I'm all in. I said, okay. Let me ask you something else. How many stocks have you looked at to determine that AMC is the best stock? And they say, I looked at a couple stocks. I said, how many have you really looked at? Because you know a lot about AMC, but do you know a lot about Intel? Do you know a lot about NVIDIA? Do you know a lot about Microsoft? Do you know a lot about any other stock? Even AMC's own competitors. They're like, no, I'm just focused on this one. Well, why? You can find a better stock that's going to go up. In fact, AMC, when I said that, went down 95%. 95%. Virtually any other stock would have beaten AMC. Forget finding something like an NVIDIA or something like that. But any other stock would have beaten AMC. Even GameStop. But you're in GameStop and it's underperforming, well, maybe you could have bought in Datadog. Maybe you could have bought Kava. Maybe you could have bought anything. But you got to look. You got to turn over those rocks, hundreds, thousands of rocks, and then you'll find the one that is the best of the best. You know what you should do? Almost make it like, I mean, this is stupid. This is like me as a little kid. I used to watch a lot of sports. Wasn't a whole lot to do in Brooklyn, so I was obsessed with sports. I had a big baseball card collection. One of my favorite things was the Final Four, the Sweet 16, the NCAA basketball tournament, March Madness. Make yourself a little bracket, but instead of sports teams, this is really stupid, but this is better than what most people are doing. You just put in each stock, Cadence Design Systems versus, Cassava. Okay, we know which one's going to go to the next round. If you do this, you'll get some decent portfolio, to be honest. But don't stop and say, okay, let's look at a couple more. Which ones have we been looking at? TARS. Okay. My worst stock, 𝗏𝗏, here's ExxonMobil, whatever. So let's say you keep going down this list. Remember, there's 64 of these. And you say, you know what, this 𝗏𝗏 looks great. I really like it. I want to buy it. Well, okay, you can do that. But does it look better than this one too? And then does it look better than this one? How far does it make it? Does it make it to the final four? And here's the thing. Every investor has their weaknesses. Remember what I said last week? You should sell 𝗏𝗏 whether or not you make money by Thursday. That's good trading advice. Did I follow that good trading advice? No, I didn't. And there's poker players, they'll tell you, like, even though you should do this in a poker hand, sometimes they say, you know what, I'm going to do that. And those mistakes can cost me or that poker player a lot of money. Or they can just work out that one time by accident, by luck. But you don't have to make those mistakes. You don't necessarily have to make the same mistake. So some of the best coaches, think about it this way. Magnus Carlsen had a chess coach, right? I met this guy, Bruce Pandolfini, super nice guy. One of the best chess coaches of all time. He's immortalized in a film called Searching for Bobby Fischer. And he's coached many of the greatest chess players. But his peak rating was 2,200. Not that high. I beat 2,200 tournament players before. Good old Brooklyn guy. He stopped playing professional chess 50 years ago. But he taught some of the best chess players ever, including Josh Waitzkin's. Josh Waitzkin. And his ability to teach was better than his ability to play. And he's written a lot of books. Jesus, more books than I remember. And he's one of the best coaches ever. Now, I also had a different chess coach, a guy named Yaroslav, who's one of the best in the world. He also tried playing amateur poker, did fairly well there. And Yaroslav is like top 50, top 100 chess player in the world. I like Yaroslav a lot. He's not as good of a coach as Bruce. Bruce is very good at coaching and also good at playing. He's great at coaching, good at playing. Yaroslav is amazing at playing and okay at coaching. He's not a bad coach, but he's not like Bruce. And Yaroslav's very young. Bruce retired 20 years before Yaroslav was born. So, you just have to sort of listen to what people say, but not blindly. Listen and integrate it into your own stuff. There are some things where you kind of should listen blindly, but when that happens, I'll sort of tell you, everything else, and even then you might not choose to use it or whatever. But, try to be intelligent about what you learn from me, and then try to be intelligent about what you learn from reading about Warren Buffett and watching his annual meetings, reading all the stuff you can about him. Maybe you have somebody IRL that you talk stocks with, learn something from them, including their mistakes. So there's a lot of ways to win in this crazy stock market world. And I'm happy to play a really, really small part in that. Cadence Design Systems is something we want to spend a lot of time on. This is a major software company, so for me, I kind of have to spend time on it regardless, because it's a major software company. So if I don't know it, it'd be weird. The same way it'd be weird if I didn't know, Pfizer or Merck as a pharma CEO or pharma investor. Or if a pro poker player never heard of lowball or some other weird poker game, people would say, "Are you really a pro? You never played lowball once? Not once?" So you kind of just have to know your territory a little bit. And that's why I always recommend stick to one sector. You want to study utilities? Study utilities. You want to study biopharma? Study biopharma. You want to study tech? Narrow that down. Tech is a lot of stuff. Narrow that down. Software? Even that you can narrow down. Enterprise software. There's a lot of things that you can call software. And once you narrow down to a space that you think you can handle, you'll become an expert. There's no better way to become an expert in some sector than following every company in that sector. You read all the press releases, you read all SEC filings, you'll become an expert whether you like it or not.
listen to all the conference calls, read industry websites, and then people will want your expertise. They'll pay for it if you want to sell it. Or you can use it yourself, or both. A lot of people started off selling newsletters or being a journalist in that space that they were supposed to know really well. And then they decided that they would become an investor. This happens sometimes in VCs. Well, Luigi, everyone on Wall Street does these spreadsheets manually, and in fact, a good chunk of Wall Street now does them exactly the way that me and my videos suggest to do them. So, if you got a better way, I'm all ears. I did just show you how you can pull up the exact same thing on the software I made called Godel. Favorite CEO of all time. I mean, well, you can't beat Warren Buffett, right? Bill Gates. Gilead had a really good CEO for many years. I really respected. I challenged him on one acquisition. It was very interesting. I told him to buy Vertex. And he thought it was too expensive. Well, he was wrong. God rest his soul, John. He was a tremendous CEO, one of the best ever. He was wrong. Vertex is now worth more than Gilead, I think. Crazy. Vertex was a teeny tiny company. Wall Street definitely hires autodidacts. Half the people on Wall Street are autodidacts. Plummer's not a CEO right now. And he wasn't a CEO, was he the CEO of? I don't think he was the CEO of Oculus either. So I'd be honest about the weaknesses. I would say first I would start with a joke. I'd say, if they said, what are your weaknesses as an employee? I'd say, how much time do you have? I thought this was only an hour interview. We're gonna have to extend this. And then I would say, no, seriously, okay, so now you can see what Cadence does. Custom integrated circuit design and simulation software, digital integrated circuit design and sign-off, functional verification, including emulation. So people at AMD are using this, Intel, Samsung, Apple. They're testing these circuits, theoretical circuits. Who are the biggest stockholders of Cadence? I just type HDS and it's there. I don't have to go anywhere else, I don't have to click anywhere else, I don't have to subscribe to anywhere else. It's just, boom, done. And I can see it's mostly mutual funds. It's actually surprising that you don't see too many hedge funds. That's kind of bullish, actually. Could be a good long. I mean, literally do not see a single hedge fund. Anyway, when I'm done with that, there's Alkeon. Alkeon has 500 mil. There's Citadel. But yeah, hedge funds appear to be underweight this. I just press escape. Want a chart? Great. I got a chart. Get rid of that. I want the financial statements. I want time and sales. Do that. Looking at a company called Cadence Design Systems and reviewing their financial statements. I'm trying to get a sense for what kind of company it is. How large are they? What does their income statement look like? It's interesting. They did grow revenue a little bit in 2023. And they did not grow G&A, which I love seeing that in the management team. Revenue grew 15%, but general and administrative did not grow at all. Let me see, how much did OpEx grow? Only 13%. That's still a little bit of growth. But even then, operating income grew 17%. So earnings are growing faster than Cadence might be overvalued. Cadence really collaborates with their customers. I don't know, I might like this short here. Everyone thinks they're like an AI play, but they're not. Not necessarily, Luigi, some do, some don't.